Okay. My passion is music. I started piano lessons when I was 5, classical. Then my mum taught me jazz piano. At school I was good at math, I was good at science, I liked to draw. Then I joined a band and I went to university. To get my way through university, the band paid me. After university I thought I'd better get a real job, so I did, with my band. That went ahead for a number of years. And then, at a certain point, I thought, I'm missing the programming, I'm missing the science. So I got a job as a computer programmer, which is what I'd graduated in. Then something happened. This came along, 3D computer graphics. And this is in the 80s, Tron. A still from my graduation film, for which I wrote the music. So I'd written a piece, a sort of drunken waltz on a 4-track recorder, and I had to create my visuals. So the music I'd written inspired my visuals. I started to see things when I listened to music. I created my piece, and it was like a feedback process. I had the ideas, listening to my music, it created this visual, based on the technology we had at the time. We're talking early 80s here, computer graphics had just started. And the film was born. But it was my first experience of the process of visuals and music. Then I got the desktop computer came out. I got my Atari, suddenly I had an orchestra at my fingertips. I was working in computer graphics at this time, and then I met this guy, this guru. This is Greg Hermanovic, who founded the Houdini software, which I was using to create my special effects for film. Now, Greg was a similar guy to me. He's an Academy Award winner. He worked for NASA, scientist, programmer, and crazy about music. So here he is, crouched over a silicon graphics machine, which he's probably about to steal from the company and go out to a rave party in the desert and perform live visuals. And this is in the 90s. And this is the interface from the software at the time. I was using the exact same software to create my visuals for special effects. So here's Greg having a great time at his rave party with all this expensive equipment, hundreds of $1,000s worth of equipment at the time. And here's me. Meanwhile, I'm stuck at a desk doing this stuff, which a scene like this, I think it was 9 months, I produced 1.5 minutes of film, I'm sitting at a desk. I was sort of missing performing. Then there was a turning point. I thought, enough of this, I'll start to do art pieces, art installations. Then there was another turning point, a convergence of the technologies. Now what happened? There was faster CPUs, there was faster graphics cards, the laptops became affordable. So Greg saw what was coming. He thought, great, I'm going to take that software that I had, that I'd authored, run off and do something new, which is creating a visual programming language that was based on Houdini 4, called Touch Designer, which is the instrument I use for making my visuals. So now I'm back performing. My tools, my instruments, laptop computer, a MIDI controller, and, if I'm lucky, a keyboard. So, back to the joy of performing, being scared before the performance starts, working with musicians, my favourite people, rock concerts. This is from pictures of an exhibition, the little gnome we'll be seeing in a minute. And then virtual sets for opera. So what's the process for creating the visuals? First, perhaps I'll receive a piece that lasts for an hour. Listen, study the theme. An hour is a long time. Try and come up with a storyline for your visual. Possibly try a new technique. Nothing strange about that. When I was studying piano, we had the etudes of Chopin. But what I'm doing in the end is creating a visual instrument for performance that is manageable, that I can experiment with and on which I can improvise when I'm listening to the music and create visual effects that is totally made within the software. So here's a concert at the San Fedele Auditorium in Milan. Here I chose to do, rather than the screen, you put a screen up, people expect a movie. I thought I'd use the architecture of the theatre, projecting light, making this piece, it's the La Création du Monde by Parmigiani, a piece that involved disembodied light. Again, using video mapping onto the 32-channel Acosmonium system they have there. So this is an example, this is the interface for Création du Monde that I created myself. At the left, you see a number of cues, just switches, which will maybe cue an animation event. Maybe the lights come together, or whatever. It's a bit like, an analogy would be like a lighting system, a DMX lighting system. So I've made all these sliders and all these cues to perform the piece. So, to make it all a bit clearer, I'll do a demo. I've got the keyboard attached to the computer, and I've got a piece of music. Okay. So it's a music by Nikolai Popov, with whom I've collaborated for years. Now let's hear that music. There we go. It's a WAV file. This one. So turn that music on. Okay. So one of the things I've learned in doing visuals is when something like this, what do you do with it? Sound reactive? Maybe not. For me, one of the best things to do is a counterpoint, for which I'll use something like this, a noise function, which is a mathematical construction that is animatable. So let's say I make that move. There, I've created a waveform that's so relaxing and it counterpoints with the visual. Next step, I've got the audio spectrum. So I've analysed the audio coming in, created spectrum, I create that into an image, sharpen it up a bit, and I'll just paste that on top of what I've already done. Composite, add that on top. There's the result. And then have a look at that. Now when I'm performing, I'd like to control that. How I do that? Well, I've got my MIDI keyboard here. And look, there's the sliders coming in. There's the notes coming in. So why don't I just attach that to this in the easiest possible way. Attach the slider in to here. Okay, so now it's attached to the slider. Here. So I can flash on and off, controlling it myself. Next thing, to demonstrate the use of the keyboard. Bring back the gnome. So the gnome's been programmed to respond to the keyboard. For this, I'll use a different piece. I'll go to the piece in question, which is from Pictures and Exhibition, played by the Winstons. How am I going to sync this if I don't have a keyboard? I can't do it with the mouse, no way. Like that. Okay, that's a demo. So in 2012, I did a concert at the Venice Biennale with a concert which was of young Russian composers from the Moscow Conservatorium. These guys. Nikolai Popov on the left and Alexei Nazdarov on the right. The Conservatorium runs a new music program where they teach software to create audio. They're also teaching the same software, Touch Designer, so that their audio software can send messages to the visual software, so the two communicate. This is what I'm talking about, the convergence of software, the convergence of technology. So often they write pieces which they improvise. The music is created on the fly and also the visuals, a bit like playing jazz. But it's all based on communication between the two software programs. At the Milan Conservatorium, I've given workshops. They there use a program called Ableton Live, which uses the same paradigm as Touch Designer, in that you can pre-prepare clips of music and then include them in your performance on the fly. So, but thereby, by teaching them also how to do visuals, they'll be performing both their music and their visuals. So what have I learned from my teaching? The teaching of visuals to musicians. Well, I've noticed, first thing, in all my workshop, who are the best students? Always the musicians, always. If someone's quick with an answer, I say, are you a musician? Yes. Why? Is the brain wired in a different way? Maybe their passion is music drives the visuals. That's my theory. Anyway, it's another point for musical education for the young. Which brings me to the Touch Designer kids. These kids were taught to use the visual software and also perform. Here they are using interactive hula hoops that drive the visuals. They were divided in teams. One kid is on the laptop driving the visuals. The other kid is out the front, in front of the band, also driving the visuals. So there's communication all round. Listening to the music, both of them, so they're performing, they're learning coding, and they're learning musical appreciation all in one. So in the classroom, what do I ask for? What do I recommend? The software is available. All this software is free download. Programming at school level, that's already happening. Music education, please more. And software education, music software and visual software, and the communication between the two. So is this a new art form? The audio-visual artist, the composer who creates both music and software. It's all to do with the convergence of the technology. It's happening fast. For example, at San Fedele Auditorium, they've run for years a composers program, a competition for composers. 5 years ago, there was no one who did visuals. 3 years ago, there was 2. This year, out of 15 applicants, there was 5. So the curve is there. So, the composers who make us see things with their music. Thank you.